Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about AEM core components. AEM core components are components that are created by Adobe to kickstart a new AEM project. It speeds up the development time of the project. They also reduce the maintenance cost of your website. Some of the features of AEM core components are they are production ready. So all the components are fully ready for production. They are cloud ready, so if you're using AEM as a cloud service, all the components are fully compatible. They are SEO friendly, so there are fields on the authoring dialogues where you can populate and improve the search engine optimization of your pages. They're fully customizable, so you can update the authoring dialogue and the rendering HTML code. They're fully trackable. So using the data layer code, you can integrate with Adobe Analytics. They're fully localizable, so depending on your language and locale, you can translate the content, and they are open sourced. Let's see how to use AEM core components. Basically, there are 4 steps involved. First, you have to download and install the core components. Second is you create a proxy component. Third is you load the core styles, and finally you enable the components. Let's look at the steps. So if you go to GitHub, you'll find there is a project for AEM core components, and here is where you can download the latest version of the core components and install it on your project. In the new Maven archetype projects, as you can see, the core components dependency is automatically added. So when the project is deployed on your AEM, it automatically deploys the core components as well. So that takes care of the first step. Next step is creating a proxy component. So the reason why we have to create a proxy component is to avoid content refactoring later on. So basically, if in your content, if you have direct reference to the core components that are created by Adobe, then any changes to those core components could impact the pages and the content you already have. And then changing the content for, let's say, a ton of pages will be a nightmare. So that's why the recommendation is you create a proxy component where your content will point to the proxy component, and then that proxy component will point to the AEM core component. That way, if any changes are made on the Adobe side, or if you want to use a new version of the component, you just have to update the proxy component as opposed to updating the content pages. Let me show you how the proxy components are created. So when a new project is created, if you go to UI apps, source main content JCR root folder and your project folder, you'll see a list of components are added. For example, if you look at the title component, the string resource super type is pointing to a core component. So this title component in my project is a proxy component where my content in AEM will have a reference to this component, and this component in turn has a reference to the core components. Let me show you how and where it's defined. So in this example, as you can see, there is a title component in my content, and it's pointing to the proxy component in my project, and this proxy component is in turn pointing to the core component, and that's how a proxy component is created. Third is loading the core styles. So there are libraries of CSS and JavaScript files that are created as part of the core components. In order to import those libraries, you just have to add reference to the client libraries of the core components. For any new Maven AEM project, those references are automatically added. So if you go under apps, your project name and client libs and base, as you can see, all the references are automatically added, so you don't have to manually load the files. So that takes care of loading the core styles. And finally, how to enable the components. Again, this last step of enabling the component is also taken care of by the Maven project, but let me show you how it's done. Go to the English page and look at the template, and as you can see in the layout container, all the components are already added. So let's say if a new component was created and you want to add that component so that the authors can use it, you just have to come into this container setup and select the new component, and then this component will be available for authors. And here's the example of a title component. As you can see, the title is blank, but it's still showing the title of the page. So that logic is already taken care of by the code written by Adobe. And we also have the option of overriding that logic. So for example, in this title component, let's say if I write page title, it will show you the page title. But then if I want to change something, for example, I want to change the rendering, I'll just add a overlay. This is just to show that I can override the existing AEM core components. So if I just delete it now, it will revert back to the core components, the title component from AEM core components library, and it's showing the title from here. That's it for AEM core components. Thank you.